We're just going to get on to the presentation. As you can see, we got busy stuff going on here. And Brandon, it's yours.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning. How's everyone doing? It's Friday. Happy Friday. Everyone excited for the weekend?
Yes.
More importantly, are you excited to learn about some social media? Yeah, come on, you can do better than that. Yes? All right, I like it. Wonderful. So I'm Brandon Lewin. I am the speaker for today. I'm basically going to lead, and what I like to do is, has anyone ever heard me speak before? No? Good. You're in for, well, what I think is a treat, but you'll be the judge of that. Real easily, or real simple, this is a talk. This is a conversation between you and I. And I have some knowledge that I want to share with you. I have a presentation that I spent a lot of time putting together. However, I want to make sure I'm answering all your questions that you came here to get answered. So before we actually get started, what I like to do is just raise your hand or shout out. Actually, I'm going to write it down on the board so we make sure we can get all the answers or all the questions answered. Just tell me what you're hoping to get out of today. You know, anything in specific. We are talking about social media. We're also talking about other forms of marketing. So go ahead and just blurt it out. All right, no one wants to learn anything today.
How to increase sales.
How to increase sales, okay. How to increase sales using social media or just in general? Okay. Anyone else?
Building an effective site.
What was that?
Building an effective site.
Building, I like that one. Okay. Anyone else?
And then I have a question. I was told, as far as like marketing on Facebook for your business, you really can't sell anything. You know, you can't put prices on. I want to get into that.
Okay.
The do's and don'ts.
The do's and don'ts of everything, anything specific on social media? Okay. All right.
The do's and don'ts about starting off a business.
Starting off a business?
Yes.
Okay. From a marketing, branding perspective? Okay. All right. Keep going.
Oh, I have one.
Yes,
How
sir.
to find your target customers.
How to find your target customer. That's a good one.
How to drive traffic.
Traffic.
How to keep your content fresh.
What was, I heard something else.
Branding.
Branding? Okay. Yes, sir.
The amount of money to correctly invest to start a site.
For a site? That's a really good question, actually. $1 million. No, I'm just joking.
That's why I'm asking. For a small business.
Okay. Anything else?
And how to keep your clients satisfied, and how to keep them coming back.
How to keep them coming back?
But also, and having yourself financially stable.
That's a good question. There's some of that I can answer. However, other parts of that is like more of a general business question. So because of the focus of today is strictly on marketing and social media, kind of the combination, I'll answer some of that. And then we can also talk offline, but I'm sure they have other people here that can help you also with the financial side of everything. Because by no means am I a financial expert, so I'm not going to pretend I am. Anyone else?
Mass email.
Mass email? Okay, email marketing. All right. Any more?
I would say how to keep negativity off your business site.
Very good question. Simple answer to that one. Just do a really good job. Don't lie, don't steal, be ethical. Okay. Anything else before we begin? Nope. Yes?
Should this be the first thing we should be starting up after we've been incorporating everything, or do we do that process as we're going?
Okay. That's a really good question. I actually would like to start with that question. Anyone else want to add anything before we begin? Okay. So, how many people actually have a business that's up and running? Raise your hands. Put them up high because I can't really see too well. Actually, I can't, but great. How many people are thinking about starting a business? Okay, wonderful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Small businesses are phenomenal, and they can do wonderful things, and you can do wonderful things. So first thing, though, to answer your question, when you start a business, you want to actually start with a business plan first, know what you're selling, know who your audience is, and that's part of the marketing, but you also have to know the financial side of things, what's the price point. Hi, how are you?
Good, since you stopped, I'm gonna go sit down.
Please do.
Thank you.
I love it. So you have to start with a business plan. You have to know where you're going, all the actual business side of things, sales, finances, HR, if you're going to hire people. Then you want to move into the marketing. Once you have a business and a business plan and you understand, you have to set goals for the business too. Usually setting goals are pretty much within a year. You can have 5-year goals. Everyone will tell you a little bit different. However, I believe in just setting for a year and then reevaluating as it goes on. It's always good to have a vision of where you want to be in 5-10 years, but things change so rapidly that could just change overnight. So basically what it comes down to is you start with a business plan, then you go into the marketing. Marketing is going to be, in my opinion, is the second most important part of having or starting a business. Because the brand is what it's going to be for the rest of its life. So what kind of business are you starting, sir?
My mind's all over the place, but the easiest one I think I'm gonna get into is janitorial, just to have some cash flow.
What was it, janitorial?
Janitorial.
Good. Yeah, I know a guy who, him and his wife moved back from New York. They worked for a similar company. They started 25 years ago, just him and his wife, started cleaning buildings. Next thing you know, now they have 500 employees that work for them. And one of the largest janitorial companies in Chicago. So anything can happen as long as you work hard and you know what you're doing. So we talked about that. Marketing is the key to all this. And kind of leading into it, the agenda today, what we're going to talk about is starting with a foundation. Part of that is a big part of that is your marketing. We're going to talk about integration, and then we're going to talk about measurement. Measurement is measurement for success. So it's great that you're going to get all this stuff. You're going to put in the branding. You're going to get a website. You're going to do social media. You're going to have email marketing going. That's all wonderful. But if you don't measure and you don't know what's working and what's leading to sales and what's leading to traffic, then you're just going to be turning the wheels. You're going to just go in motion. And so you need to, and actually what happens with a lot of people, especially on the social media side, because social media can take up so much time, is that when you put in so much work into your social media and then you don't see actually any results, and it's really because you're hoping that you're going to grow the business to $1 million just by using social media. That doesn't happen. So you actually have to put some goals, some what they call key performance indicators, KPIs, and have measurement associated with that. And if all of you should know, I keep things really, really simple. So I try not to go over people's heads. We answer questions, and we got that out of there. So first things first, when it comes to marketing, that's a little small, but what it says right there is that it all comes down to, especially in this day and age, comes down to your website. Your website is your hub. It's your starting point. It's the most important piece to your business beyond your product and your service. Okay? So when you start a business, you have to look for a website. A website, all right, there's a lot of different options with websites. One option you can do is you can actually just go ahead and make a free website. There's Wix.com. There's a bunch of others. If you just Google free websites, you can pop that up. They basically allow you to create templates. You can go in there and you can create it. What I recommend though is you invest some money. You invest some money, and you have to work with somebody who has some experience with it. But a good website with a decent investment is about $5,000. Can range. You can find some people who do it for a little bit less. You can find people who do it for a lot more. It just depends on how complex your site is. So if your site is, let's say your site is, anyone doing e-commerce, selling anything online? Raise their hands. Yeah? Okay. E-commerce sites are going to be a lot more complex. All right? So you have to really gauge in how what your business is going to offer. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is that you want to, depending on how you do this, like what's your goal? When you set up a website, the first thing you have to think about, what's the goal of the website? Do you want people to call you? Do you want people to fill out a form? Do you want people to purchase something? You have to figure out what that goal is. And those type of goals, those are called macro goals. So those are the end goals that you want people to do that'll essentially lead to revenue. And that's usually the last step to actually leads to revenue. What also occurs is that there's called micro goals. So these are little goals that lead to these macro goals. And those micro goals can be someone signing up for social media. It could be someone signing up for your email. It could be somebody attending a webinar. It could be someone attending a live event. It could be someone who watches a video on your website. It could be a number of different things, but all of those are very important. Someone downloads a PDF on your website. That's a micro goal. So all those pieces will actually essentially lead up to a macro goal. So that's the best way when you start off with a website. Another thing too to keep in mind is that you really have to vet that professional that you're using. I see it all the time. People get burned. They get burned because two things really in a small business. They're not educated enough to know what they should know. And that person will actually, excuse my language, will screw you over if you give them a chance to. And so not everyone is. I'm not saying there is, but there are a few bad apples, and I just want to make sure everyone's aware that you should vet that person out, find out the information, get some references, see some of the websites they've done, ask them their process. That's very important. The process is very important. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. So
Yes.
to go back to the free website, I understand clearly that you're saying you suggest to spend the money for the website. But if someone chooses to use a free website, what would you suggest? What kind of companies would you suggest that they use? Would just like for a blog or small scale or anything like that?
So starting a free website?
Yeah.
It's usually just I shouldn't say static website, but it's a couple pages. It's like 5 pages, maybe 6 pages. You might have an about us, maybe a service page that tells people what you do. What kind of business are you looking to get into?
Oh, actually, I have a few things as well, but
Okay.
what I want to start is maybe like a gym class for kids.
Mm-hmm. So a gym class like
Like an aerobics and small, like a fitness class for kids.
Okay, so aerobics class. Okay, so what you would do is you would want to create a homepage. You want to have some information about you. Then you would also want to have, what you're actually offering, what this gym class is all about. Then you might want to have some testimonials up there as well, and then a contact us page. So that's usually a good starting point. Yeah, start off small, and then you can kind of work your way up there. But you know what I also would suggest is look around some websites. This is the best way to start off. Yes, ma'am.
Facebook has changed.
Uh-huh.
Instead of going to a fan page, you now go to what?
Facebook is no longer fan pages. They're called business pages. Yes. So what you were mentioning is that the best thing to start off is finding some websites that you actually like. So it doesn't have to be something that's a competitor of yours, but go on some websites, cruise around the internet, find sites maybe from a design aspect, also the pages, the content. Find some of these websites that you like, and then you can kind of piggyback off of that. And also, find out websites that you don't like either, because that's always great. Websites that do a really bad job, then you can learn what not to do. Yes, exactly. All right. Biggest thing on a website too that goes into all this is that in this day and age, if you're going to use the internet to market, which you should, and if you're not, you're very behind the times, is that you need a blog. You need a blog or a resource page on your website. That is definitely a necessity. The reason I say that is that, again, when you are setting up your presence online, because now online is more important than a brick and mortar shop. People can actually run a business from their home, a multi-million-dollar business, with having people spread out throughout the United States, throughout the country, whatever the case may be. Yes, ma'am.
You said blog or resource page?
Blog, well, it just depends. Both. So a blog is definitely, if you have to start off between one, start off with a blog. A resource page is essentially the same. You would have a blog underneath a resource page or underneath a resource section. But the resource section would also include like testimonials, videos, maybe on-demand webinars that people can watch or download. Maybe they're white papers or guides or ebooks. So it's going to be it's going to be robust. There's going to be a lot more information on a resource page than you would on a blog. However, with everyone who's starting off and who has a business, take it one at a time. Take it simple. You do too much at one time, and what's going to happen is you're going to lose your momentum. You're going to get discouraged, and then you're going to stop. We don't want that. So take it simple. Focus first and foremost on creating content. So once you get a website up, that's great. You have a blog set up on there, you need to start creating content. Now content, yes ma'am.
What would be the difference between like the free website and the blog?
Well, they're really in this day and age, you should have a blog on a website.
What is the difference?
So the difference is a website, you make updates, but it's usually, you can make updates, but it's pretty static. It just kind of stays there. Yeah. Where a blog is, you're constantly updating. You're posting like once a week. You're writing articles, short articles, to put up on there, and people come there. Yeah, no problem. Yes. No, go ahead. This is what I like. I like the questions.
Good. I just don't want to take your time. Is having the blog as the step to the website okay too? Because my website, I actually don't control the design of it.
Okay.
The corporate office that handles the branding and all that does my website. Is a very effective website. It doesn't have a blog, and I would like to.
Sure.
So like starting a blog and having that lead people to my website, or is that not?
So you work for another company, I take it?
No, I'm not an official franchisee, but I'm set up in that sort of structure.
Okay. So yes, that's what you can do. Or so corporate, the franchisee, or
They set up our website.
okay. So you have that. You can't put a blog on there.
I
No?
can't add anything to it.
Okay.
People can buy through it, but I cannot control that website and
Yeah.
all other than my information, my name, contact.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a unique situation there.
But having a blog that then can lead people to that
Yeah.
is viable.
That's great. So there's no perfect or cookie cutter way to do this. Everybody's business is a little bit different. So you have to really gauge on what's going to be best for you. But there are ways, like if you have just content to provide, you don't actually have a service yet to write or to sell, then you could just have a blog. People actually start off their business or businesses by starting with a blog. There was a gentleman here, Emerson, is it Spurts or Spritz? I forgot his last name, but he's based here in Chicago. He started one of the first Harry Potter blogs. Okay, this guy wrote content about Harry Potter, the books, the movies, all that stuff. Next thing you know, he was making $1 million from that site. I think it was like almost like a month or something close to that. It was a ridiculous amount because what happens is that everyone knows Facebook. What happens is that you focus in on those customers first and foremost. You give them something to come to you to read, and then eventually you can monetize that. So for like a blog, if you write it and you're just writing it to share information and people really like what you're doing, then essentially you can add advertisements. There's other ways to actually make money off of it, but you first need those customers to make money. So I digress because that's not necessarily everyone's business model, but it is a way to make money. You can have a blog without having a website, just depends on what exactly you're trying to accomplish. All right, so moving on. All right, so we have a blog, we have content. Yes, sir.
Now, let's just say, as you're starting up and eventually you lead in that direction for the purpose to start monetizing off your blog, would you separate that business because now it's generating revenue for your company? I mean, like a subsidiary or something like that?
What? So what do you mean? Like if
the blog is basically its own business now because now you're selling advertisement about your business. Maybe let's say use janitorials. Talking about supplies on the job site, working rules and stuff like that. And now money's coming in, people want to advertise. Would I separate myself, or would I just keep it on there as?
So it's a little tricky. Like, you have to really first figure out what you want to do. Like, I would, for you, if I was selling janitorial services, I would provide information free and just generate revenue from actually janitorial services. I don't know, again, and it's possible, anything's possible. I don't know if you're going to generate enough traffic to then actually monetize a blog about janitorial services.
No, I'm just using that as
Yeah, okay. So, again, if you're generating enough revenue from that, or you generate enough traffic, you don't have to start another business model off of that. You just keep that going. You set up an account. It's just another revenue stream for that business. All right. So big thing here is content. Okay. You heard me say that a bunch of times. Content is what they used to say is that content was king. It's no longer king. It's actually God. It's everything nowadays. It's so important for your business is because content actually is what people buy from now. It's everywhere. It's involved in every aspect of your marketing. So social media involves content. Your website involves content. SEO involves content. Email marketing involves content. If you're doing events, that's content. So you get the point here. Everything involves content. The first and foremost is someone asked, how do you keep content fresh? So if you're just starting off, what I always tell people is that content, first and foremost, should be questions, okay? Take questions people are asking you. If you're selling a service, okay, people are asking you questions like, what kind of cleaning products do you use? What kind of appraisal companies do you use if you're a realtor? How do I know that? I don't know. Who else has it? Someone else give me a business. Insurance. Okay. So, do I need? Should I get insurance for my employer or should I get it for myself? How do I get COBRA coverage after I leave my job? Stuff along those lines. So take questions that people ask you every day from a sales perspective. And if they're not asking you, think for yourself. Take yourself out of your shoes and think what your customers want and start there. Yes, sir.
What about for a restaurant? They start asking recipe questions and things that.
So if you have secret sauces or you have certain recipes you don't want to give away, don't give it away. But you can give other information away.
Tips about cooking.
Tips about cooking. You can talk about the difference between using fresh products and not so fresh products. You can talk about maybe you have to find what your angle is. Like if you the whole sustainable food thing now that everyone's talking about, free range chickens. Telling people why free range chicken is different than regular chicken. What to look out for. So things along those lines that'll help build up trust. So the biggest thing here is that when you create content, what you want to do is what you're actually doing. Someone have a question? Yeah.
About the blog, you created content.
Yes.
Do we have to be careful in what we talk about? I mean, do we open ourselves up to liability because we criticize something?
No. You want to have an opinion. Controversy is good. It is. People buy into controversy. If you think something, now like there's a fine line too, because personally I believe in being positive and about saying things, so not bad mouthing people, but if you have an opinion, you think something doesn't work better than something else, then say it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what people are going to buy off of you. You're not going to make everyone happy. Let's just be plain and honest about that, is that you're going to probably get some people who are upset or disagree or don't think the same way that you do, so it's okay. But you want to provide your own opinion to people. That's the biggest thing. Provide your own opinion. That builds trust, and that builds expertise. People start to see you as that thought leader. When you can start answering questions, when you start providing tips and tricks and how to do things. So another great story here is that everyone know Geek Squad? Yeah? Okay. You know, Geek Squad sold their business to Best Buy. Okay. Probably for a really good amount of money. Do you know what they did to build up their business? They created videos. And their videos were tips and tricks and how to do things that they do for people. So setting up spamware for their computers, how to fix a hardware, question, stuff along those lines. And when the person, I forgot the founder's name, but when he actually went ahead and he did a speech and he told people what he did, and these videos were like 2 minutes long, tips and tricks. He had his logo in the corner. Someone asked him, said, "Hey, why would you give away the information that you're selling?" He's like, "Well, I'm glad you asked, because the best people, best customers for us are the people who try to do it themselves and then screw up." So because they spend time on his videos watching these, they spend, maybe a couple hours, maybe they watch 10 videos, whatever the case may be, eventually something goes wrong. Who do they remember? Who do they trust? They trust that brand. They trust Geek Squad. So then they call them. So when people say that, all the time, people are talking about, don't give away your information, or I'm afraid to give away my information, or I don't want to give away
That's all they tell you to do.
Yeah, and that you should, because guess what? The internet now, if you want something, you go on there, you search it. And if it's not you giving me the information, it's somebody else who's going to give me the information. So what you have to do is you have to bring value. That's the biggest thing. Bring value to your customers. You already bring value to them. You just have to think about how you do it and then translate it into the digital world.
Things on the internet public domain, if you find something on there and it's no logo or trademark on it, can you use it?
So if someone posted something,
Maybe it was a picture or a poster or something. And it was,
you have to be careful. Yeah, you have to be very careful, because last thing you want to do is get sued. So be careful. What I recommend is that, all right, so this, again, we're in a great world. We have smartphones. Everyone have a smartphone for the most part, okay? Smartphones are accessible. Everyone has it. It's really cool. They sell these little cameras, okay? Back of your phone. You can unscrew it. They have different angles. This one's actually a wide lens, so you can actually see more. Then there's a micro lens, you can see really close. Then there's another one that's a fisheye angle, so it's really large. They're awesome, okay? They make better pictures with your phone. You can do really quality stuff with this. Also, what you can do with your phone is you can record videos. So the thing is that you talk about pictures, use your phone, buy a camera. Take your own. It's original. It's your own little flair. This stuff doesn't have to be doesn't have to be professional, okay? So long as it comes out with some type of quality, that's great. And that's part of the content, and you have to keep up with this. Hi. Hey.
Hey,
How you doing?
good, gotta learn from the expert.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. So content, okay? First thing I always recommend is think about ideas. Write out questions that you want to talk about. Put it on a piece of paper. Other things you can do to spark up content ideas is actually go out and see what competitors are doing, or people in the industry, or read news. Find out information, because you're gonna see some of this stuff and you're gonna be like, you know what? I think my opinion's better than that, or I think you could do it better this way, or you can do better that way. And so what you can do is just piggyback off of that topic and create your own kind of angle and opinion from that. So that's content. I'll spend a little bit more time on content, but I want to get through some of these different areas real quickly. Okay, so on this slide, what we're talking about is a marketing wheel, okay? Well, again, we're coming down to the basis here is that our center point, what's our center point again? That's right. Glad you guys are paying attention. The website and the blog is your hub, your center point. And so what you have is now we're creating a wheel, and we have different things. And there are options. These are not everything that you should be doing. But we have social media, we have email, we have webinars, we have live events, we have online ads, we have print ads, we have partnerships, we have affiliates, and we have SEO. And the list can go on and on and on. There's probably 100 different things you could do from a marketing perspective. Different channels, different angles. So there's so much here. What I'm saying though is that this is not the magic sauce. This is not a combination that every single one of you should be doing. What you should be doing is each one of you should have a website and each one of you should have a blog, and then you should pick 5 channels, max 5 channels of where you want to spend your time. And it's not just where you want to spend your time, but it's where your customers are spending their time. All right? So when we talk about, yes, ma'am.
One question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
don't.
so could one of these, entities be like a book?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be a book. Books are great. People build businesses off of books. They write a book, they spend a lot of time, they put some money into it. Next thing you know, they have a consulting agency off of books. They do speaking engagements to get paid $5,000 a speaking engagement, maybe sometimes more. So there are opportunities with writing books. And books can be self-published nowadays, so it's a wonderful opportunity. Yes, ma'am?
What do you think about the free blogs, so like Blogger and the other ones that offer free?
So free blogs are good. First of all, there's Blogger, then there's WordPress. WordPress, though, is actually, if you had to ask me right now where you should put a website, put it on WordPress. Reason why is WordPress, one, has a community of millions of people who are using WordPress. 2, they have people who are creating plugins for WordPress sites. So what that means, though, is that you want to do SEO, you actually just go on to WordPress, you have someone, you pay them to make it look really pretty, set up on the back end. You can go in there and you can do all the changes you want to do. You don't have to rely on somebody else. And you could plug in an SEO plugin that'll actually help you to optimize your website. A search engine optimization. So essentially what SEO is that it's the organic way people find you. So when you go to Google, you go to Bing, go on any of these search engines, you type in something, let's say we type in Chicago real estate. All these listings come up. Now there's different listings though. There's listings that are on the first 3, and then there's the sidebar, and those are advertisements. And then you have the ones that are underneath it, which are not advertisements, which are organic. SEO is organic. That right there is, does everyone know what SEO is for the most part? Okay. So I'm not going to spend too much time. If you have some specific questions, I'll make sure to answer it offline for you. But SEO is very important. So WordPress, I do recommend WordPress, to use WordPress. If actually you had to pick any platform to host a website on there, I would say WordPress is the best. We host our website on WordPress. And we've built a lot of websites. I've built a lot of websites on WordPress.
What about the free one? There's a free one and then there's one that you buy a domain name.
Well, so WordPress is free, and they give you a free domain, which is abccompany.wordpress.com. Spend the money and buy your own domain. Domain names are $20, I think, for a year, maybe.
Specific companies you recommend buying a domain name from?
There's so many different ones. You could go to GoDaddy, go to HostGator. I mean, those companies aren't really, there's not much of a difference because it's all the same price. Yeah, something like that. $20, $24. Last time I checked, thing was like $20 for a year. Then you have to renew it. Make sure you renew it. So get the domain name. So back to the wheel though. So we have all these different ones. You need to pick five that you want to focus in on. And also not only do you want to focus in on, but what are your customers using? And how can you use those 5 together? That's why you have to think about this, okay? How is social media, let's say you picked social media, SEO, email, webinars, and online ads, okay? Those are your 5. How are all those gonna work together? And why are all those working together? So when you go ahead, so what I always like to tell people to do, actually, when you start with this, is that you have a website, but you want to start with a marketing plan. And a marketing plan is a strategy. You want to start with a goal that is associated with your business goal. So let's say for the year you want to do $1 million in revenue. Boom, that's your goal. Put it right at the top. Then you're working backwards. Go ahead, grab a seat. There's the slides right here. Did you get some slides? Okay, so you want to work backwards. You set the goal. You're welcome. You set the goal, and then you work backwards. And then part of working backwards is defining what your channels are and how you're going to use those channels. Okay? So we have SEO, we have social media. The funny thing is right now, you actually can't see what type of keywords, unless you're buying online ads, you can't actually see which keywords are driving traffic to your website. Google has actually cut that out. This might be a little over the head of some people, but you can actually not see your keywords. But what you can do is you can know what keywords you should be ranking in, and you can use tools like moz.com. That's usually the one we recommend. You go on there, you can plug in your website, you can plug in competitor websites, so you can see where you rank from a keyword standpoint. So SEO though also plays into social media. There's a thing called now, it's called social sharing, okay? Social media is becoming a search engine within itself. People are going on Facebook and they're looking for recommendations from their friends. What restaurant should I be going to? Or bless you. Or they go onto Twitter and they're like, you know what restaurants do you guys recommend for my anniversary dinner? And they search. And on top of that, I mean, who do you trust most? Do you trust strangers or do you trust your friends? Friends. And where are your friends associated right now? They're on social media. All right, you have your friends on, well, lots of people, not everyone. Lots of people have their friends associated with them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn is more of like a business kind of set, but they go on there and they search for it. So what happens is that someone comes to your, let's say you run a restaurant, they come to your website, they love your restaurant, they eat there, they come back, and what they do actually at the restaurant, they're on their phones. And what are they doing? They're checking in on Facebook and they're posting, I'm at ABC restaurant, the food is delicious, blah, blah, blah. Their friend then sees something and then they say, all right, let's go there. And so what happens is they start to share this information. Now, that's from a more of like a brick and mortar type of example. If you have a service, let's say you're a real estate company, a commercial real estate company, and you're starting a business and you're looking for an office space, okay? Someone helps you out, you're so happy about it, you go onto Twitter, you post it on Twitter, or they go onto LinkedIn, they post it on LinkedIn, or they read an article about something on your blog and they share it through that way. When they share this information, you start to build clout. And then you also start to build SEO from the social side of things. So you'll actually start to see when people share your content more and more from a social aspect, your SEO goes up. So the point of what I'm trying to make with all this is that it all affects each other in a lot of different ways, and they all integrate together. So email, though, again, is that email can be another way. How to use email with your social media. Okay, this is a great way of doing this. You know, it just depends on what you're doing with your email. Some people have events that they promote. Some people have just information. Some people have products, so you have product sales. So emails can be used in a lot of different ways. You could do newsletters. I don't like calling them newsletters anymore because newsletters can be like the typical version of a newsletter is like you have one article, you have another article, you have another article, and you have all these articles and it's way too confusing and cluttered. So just providing one long informational email is great. Now the thing is too is that they don't have to be pretty anymore. When you set up an email, anyone use email marketing right now? Yes? What kind of email system do you use?
I use Constant.
Okay, so Constant Contact is one. That's good. Another one that's good is MailChimp. Mail, M-A-I-L, Chimp, CHIMP.com. Hmm? Aweber's, I've never heard of that one. Is it good? Okay. Aweber's. Let's see what else. Which one? I don't know that. Okay. So there, I mean, I know like two. That's the Constant Contact and MailChimp, and there's a bunch of other ones out there. Go out there, do your investigation. They're typical around the same price. It all depends on how many people you actually subscribe to your email list and how many people you're sending them out to. If you're sending it out to like more than 5,000 people, it's like, or between 2,500 to 5,000, it's roughly about $50 a month.
But you have only your customers trying to fill out contact information to get their email so that you can contact them, and how much is too much when you're hitting their email too much to try to pass information?
That's good. That's a great question. This is etiquette. Okay, so first and foremost, you definitely want everyone to sign up with your email, because there's a lot of different ways people get emails. Even if they don't read it, they're still thinking about you because they see they get the email. You definitely need them to opt into it, so signing up. So again, this doesn't just include email, but you have to tell people. This also includes social media. This also includes, filling out a form on your website. Tell them why they want to do that. All right. Tell them the value they're going to get out of
Give
it.
them an incentive to do it?
You don't have to pay them. You don't have to give anything away for
Discount,
free.
nothing like that.
No, you could. I mean, if you want to give away discounts, if you say, hey, if you sign up for this, 10%, you get 10% off on your next purchase. That's good, but then the real motive for them is just getting that discount. So if you want to do that, that's great. You can offer that as an added benefit when they do it, but tell them why. You're going to get healthy tips on how to eat. You're going to get updates on if you love our service. You're going to get updates on new menu items, stuff along those lines. Tell them why they want to sign up for it. When you just leave it very vague and say, hey, sign up for the email, you might get some people who sign up for it, but then they're going to even know why they're signing up for it, and it's going to defeat the purpose. So tell them why. Okay, so we were talking about emails, signing up for emails. Then we talked about, what else? Do you have another question in there? Okay, I answered all of those. Okay, so when you sign up for email.
Too much.
Oh, yes. How much is too much? You really have to gauge. What takes a little bit of work, and what I recommend, is that you try to segment people out. Okay, segment people out based off of what they want, if you can. Not everyone can do this, and it may take a little bit of some planning and strategizing. But if you can segment them out and get them to figure out what they want when they want it, that is the best way to do it. Some people might want tips on healthy eating. Some people might want just updates on menu items. So it just depends. Some people might just want discounts. You got to figure it out. There's ways to do it. You can have them check a different box for like, hey, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this? Based off of that, then you can send out emails. It's hard to say what's too much. Should you send an email every single day? Absolutely not. Unless it says daily tips on this. If the title of that email is daily tips of this, then everyone should expect a daily email. So you have to set the expectations up front. Tell them when they are actually going to be receiving these emails. Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Is it monthly? Is it every quarter? What is that frequency that you're going to be sending it out? The other way you can gauge and how much is too much is that you can see when you set up these systems, they actually allow you to see who opened it, what they clicked on, and then who unsubscribed. So the higher the unsubscribe rate, then you know you're doing it too much. or you're not providing them enough value. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, ma'am.
What form of marketing is it when you go on to an email address
Uh-huh.
or to a website and they automatically ask you for your name and your email address in order for you to see their video? What form of marketing is that?
Oh, yes, that's called, well, there's no like form of marketing that's called, because that's really just getting people to opt into your system. You're giving something away for free and then you're asking for something in return, which is their contact information. And that is actually usually set up in, it's called a marketing automation system. Yeah. There's different ones out there. There's a really good one I like. We don't use it. We use a different one called Marketo, which is a good one. But there's another one called Infusionsoft, which actually is built strictly for small businesses. Infusionsoft. Before you get into that, you need a lot of other things developed before that. So that's more of an advanced stage. That's maybe like phase 3 or 4. First and foremost, you need a website. You need to spend some time building up traction. You need to build up content, because that's the biggest thing with marketing automation. You have to build up content. Marketing automation actually allows you to see that person who comes to your website. They build up what they call a lead scoring system. So if someone comes to a page, you can put a point system to that. If they download something, you can add another point system to that. So all the activity that they do on your website with your brand actually is built into a score system. And then once they hit a certain score, that means you need to contact them for something. And a lot of it is built automatically too. So anyone ever gone on a website and got a phone call from that website or that company within like a day? Yeah, it's scary, right? That's marketing automation, actually. So as soon as you opt in, they can see your name, they can see your email, they can see everything that you're doing, and they have your contact information. And then, unfortunately, some people have really bad ethics or etiquette, I should say, and they actually contact you. That's not the case. You need to be a little bit softer, not so much a hard sell with that. But that's marketing automation. That again is a complex system, and it takes a lot of planning. So once you're ready for that, I would say that's something definitely to look into. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say for content for a e-newsletter that you would want to keep the text short and maybe point back to the website or to Facebook and do pictures and videos possibly?
Videos and pictures in the email?
Yep.
There's certain systems that you can actually have videos in the email, but most times it won't be able to be played in there. You can only link it back to the video wherever it's hosted. What I recommend, so this is my personal thing. So I've tried a lot of different ways with email marketing. I've tried a lot of different formats. One format that I find that sometimes works is that format that you talked about, so that you keep it really short and simple. You provide, maybe you've done 3 blogs, you write a real short intro paragraph saying, hey everybody, happy Friday, whatever the case may be, tell them what they're gonna get in the email. Then you link down to 3 areas where it has a title, maybe 2-line description of that blog, and then it says read more, clicks through, takes them back to that blog. Can do that, it's great for traffic. However, what I've seen and it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to drive traffic back to your website, that's a great way of doing it. What I've found that is the most effective way, both from a response standpoint and open ratio, or open percentage, is actually personalized, long-winded content. So it doesn't have to be 2 pages. It could be 1,000 words, but there's really no restriction to it. But it's telling a story, it's being personable. So it's saying hi, it's not fancy design email. It actually looks like a plain Jane email that you would send out of your office email or your Gmail account. And you just tell a story that provides content, that provides value, that tells them something that they can use. That, I personally have found that response rates shot through the roof. Open ratios, again, blew everything else out of the water. When you can do that and you bring value to people, that's going to be very effective. And then, what I also found when I started doing that? People start sharing my emails with their coworkers, with other people in the office. They start talking about it because they enjoyed it.
It doesn't seem scripted. It doesn't read like a story or something. You said personal.
Yeah, so like example is I wrote a story about a year ago actually, and it was about me running. And it was actually, I came back from a run. I don't do that as much as I should nowadays, but I went for a run, and I normally take the same route, and I took a different route. And I thought about it from a marketing perspective. I said, you know what? When you start a plan and you have an end goal, you build this plan where you want to go in this direction. But sometimes if you go a different direction, you still get to that same goal, but sometimes faster. And sometimes you get better results from it. And so, and it was obviously a little bit more extensive than that, but that was the gist of the story. And that one right there, that's
touched everybody else to make them
yeah.
think about it.
Well, what it does too is it opens you up as a person, so people know that you're a runner, and so sometimes people can relate to that. That's a commonality. People love that. They want to, feel like you have something in common with people. And then on top of it, it brought some value to people. People actually thought about it. Hey, that actually makes some sense, and it did. And maybe I'm not doing it justice, but it did make some sense. So it helped quite a bit. So that's one way of going about it. That's what I recommend. That's what I see again from what we do from an email standpoint. That's great. Another thing too with all of this, test, and test some more. All right. If you are not completely sure on what's working, try 2 different versions. That could be changing the title of the email by rewording it. It could be changing the body of the format of the email. It could be a lot of different things. So what they call that is called A/B testing. You can also do that for your website too. A/B testing. Yeah.
Yeah, what is A/B testing?
A/B testing essentially is that you're not really sure what's working. You want to try 2 different things out, and you test it out. You send it out, this email to half your audience, and you send this email to the other half your audience, and then you see which one you put a goal to it. The winner is based off of the open ratio or the open percentage, or it's based off of the click-through rate. So there's testing mechanisms for it. I'm not sure if Constant Contact has it. We use a system called Campaign Monitor. It's another email marketing system. That actually allows you to do A/B testing in it. The only problem with that is that it's from a design aspect, you have to know some HTML coding, so it can be a little complex. But yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about the customer's journey? I see you have a slide here.
I'm sorry?
Customer journey, you have your slide.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. Let me just finish up on this. So the marketing wheel. Find 5. Find 5 of these. Pick which ones that you want to start off. What you think your customers are spending time. Do you want to be found on search engines? Do you want to be on social media? Are your customers on social media? Are they searching for you in SEO? So on and so forth. And then leading into that, so we talked about that, and then from there you can grow. So the nice thing about it is you might start off with 5, but you can end up with 8, 10. The reason why you can do that is once you get your core marketing channels going, and you have content, and you got the steady flow, and you got this momentum, you can start just implementing these different channels, and it's kind of seamless. And then also what you can do is that you can leave the channels that are already building up, and they're already generating traffic or getting you results in some way. You can kind of put that on automatic, and then on autopilot, and then you can actually focus on the other systems, the channels, and then go back to it. So the other thing here, we talked about this real briefly. Tell your story. So when you're creating content, tell your story. It doesn't have to be, it's a narrative. Everyone has a story. Everyone not only has a story, but their customers have stories, okay? So if you have a story, your customers have a story, your customer's story is part of your story. If that makes any sense to everyone. The thing I say with tell a story is that if you just tell people something, they don't listen. When you tell stories, people remember that stuff. Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest leaders we've ever had as president. Man got people to do things because he told stories. Everyone talks about it is that he was who he was because he was able to tell a really good story. When you look in everyone who talks about content marketing today, it's about telling stories. So instead of, if you have some idea of doing something, just put it into a narrative. It's not as difficult as you think it is. So, moving on, customer journey. All right, we have different areas of the customer journey. We have the first step here, that's discovery. Now, how this all plays together is that you have different channels that fit into different areas or different stages of your customer journey. So first and foremost, discovery. People have problems, right? People have problems all the time. They want to go eat somewhere really good. They don't know where to go to. That's a problem. Someone is looking for a house. They need some help. That's a problem. But also, before that problem occurs, there's something else. There's an event that happens before that. So there's the discovery, but there's actually a part here that's missing. There's another piece of event that happens before that. So just what the point of what I'm trying to say is that you can hit them, you can start with this discovery when they actually have that problem, or you can actually nip it in the butt beforehand and start to brand before they even have that problem. And I recommend that you hit people on every cycle of this. So you have discovery, you have evaluation, you have buying, you have advocacy.
What would be before discovery? Finding a need in them?
Yeah, so it could be a lot of different things, like what happened to somebody before they searched out for your restaurant. You know, could be a lot of different things. Maybe they used to cook a lot. Maybe they don't know how to cook. Maybe they just enjoy restaurants. You know, there's a lot of different reasons that could lead up to it. So like buying a business, you know, or starting a business, you know, what leads up to that? They got fed up with their job, you know. So you have to really think about your customers and what could possibly happen before they start to search for yours. Or maybe they had a bad experience at another restaurant and they're done with doing that. Or they moved places. They moved from one neighborhood to another neighborhood and they're looking for a local place. So there's a lot of different scenarios in which can lead to that. So then you have the discovery. So there's different channels that fit with each one of these stages. Content is going to be running across all of these. And actually, you can create content for each one of these stages. So we talked about the one beforehand. That part you can create content for. You know, what to look in for, you know, how to find the next best restaurant in the neighborhood or something along those lines. Then you can lead to the discovery. Discovery is also another great channel, social media. Social media is that sometimes people don't know that they want to go to your restaurant yet. So they jump on, they find you, they're recommended from somebody, and they jump onto your social media and they become friends there. They also might not know about your restaurant and they start searching for restaurants in Chicago. Okay? And that's SEO, search engine optimization. Then you have the valuation process. So the evaluation process here is that someone knows about your business, but they want to find out more information. They want to know that you're trustworthy, that the service that you provide is something that that they can use. So they start to evaluate that. Was there, ma'am, was there a specific question that you had in this customer journey? You just wanted to know? Okay. So, running through this, evaluation, buying, then they're ready to buy. So essentially there's a sales cycle, okay? There's a sales cycle. People get into a business and you have to hit them in different ways, okay? And this is what they call nurturing a lead or nurturing a prospect. So you want to create a community of people, whether they purchase something, whether they're thinking about purchasing something, and you have to find where they are spending their time and which of these channels are going to be best for that different process, for that journey. So social media, though, plays into part both in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And people might join in different parts of that. They might not join right in the beginning of that journey. They might actually end up, they go through your process, maybe a friend recommended them, next thing you know, they use your service, they buy your product, they like you on Facebook, they follow you on Twitter, they like it so much, they tweet about you. So there's different ways in how these people can find you, but you want to make sure that you're putting out those feelers as much as possible. So you have to figure out, again, you kind of have to outline your own customer's journey. Yes, sir.
Is it possible, like, almost integrating a chat room for within your blog or your website, so that way you can monitor the single people like you were saying?
Yes, so that is actually a great point. Infiltrating where your customers are spending time on social media, on chat rooms, on different forums, maybe just reading articles. Yes, you want to know what your customers are thinking, how they're using these different channels, what they're saying, and then you can use that to your own benefit. You can then, usually what you want to do is first you want to listen, and then you want to give them information that will help them. So a great example of this is that Hyatt, the Hyatt, okay, everyone knows the Hyatt, it's a hotel. They actually have customer service reps, concierge, that actually sit on Twitter and they listen for people asking for recommendations to certain places. They said, someone in Denver asked, where can I find the best burger in town? They jump on there, they say, hey, listen, there's these 2 places, they're in this area, blah, blah, they give them information. Now, that doesn't necessarily help the Hyatt, because you don't know if that person is actually in need of a actual hotel. But what they do get out of it is that brand recognition, that brand awareness. So people are like, all right, you know what? That was really helpful. Thank you very much. They go there, they eat the burger, they love the burger, and then forever they actually stuck in the back of their head is that Hyatt helped them out. So when the next time they go look for a hotel, they're gonna be like, where should I stay? For some reason I want to stay at the Hyatt. Huh? They're helpful. It's value add. They did something selfless. And by doing something selfless, that brought value, and that value stuck with that person.
Being selfless brings money.
It does. It does. It really does. The
Don't
universe
think of it
pays
that
you
way,
back.
but
Yeah, the universe pays you back in mysterious ways.
When you talk about media staff like that, would you encourage like a company to have their own media staff?
Media staff.
I mean, just like somebody to overlook the websites and do the Twitters and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Would you
so
suggest somebody to have that?
yes. So I do suggest that you have a team of people, professionals that know what they're doing in each one of these fields. What I do recommend though is that you actually educate yourself first. Because that, again, I talked about this in the beginning, is that how you get burned is not knowing what you don't know. When you hire a SEO professional, the biggest problem people have with SEO professionals, they don't know what the heck they are doing. Because there's so much stuff in the back end, and it takes a lot of time that if they're not educated enough on it, then they're assuming that they're going to get results in 3 months or 2 weeks, and those expectations are way out of there. So which SEO could really help you out, but if you don't know that type of stuff, that's a big problem. So that's actually a huge issue for small business owners, is actually being educated enough to know all about these different channels. You don't have to be experts. You just have to be able to talk the language with these people that you're hiring. Yes, sir.
So now we're talking about you touched on the startup sites, $5,000. What about maintaining costs?
Yeah, so maintaining the cost is hosting services, someone to host your domain name, also someone in case something happens, if your site goes down.
Special ITs.
Yeah, so you have hosting services that you have to pay monthly costs for. And then if you're updating it, depending on how you set it up, if you set it on WordPress, you can actually update it yourself. Or if you hire a professional to do it, just depends. Those costs range. They can start at like $50 a month, and they can go up to a couple $1,000s a month. Just depends. So yes, I recommend that you hire professionals to help you out with these different areas. What I do recommend though is that if you have staff, use your staff first and foremost, have them help you out, add any benefit that they can. All right, so we talked about the customer journey a little bit. The sales funnel. sales funnel, the different channels, they play into a different part of the sales funnel. So social media is usually right at the top of the sales funnel. Again, it could be at the bottom, it could be after the people make a sale. But when we talk about sales funnel, people start off at social media. They're not really aware of what you do, and they start to get to know you. Then how this works is, just for example, is that, all right, how this works is that you write a blog, you post it up on Twitter, it has a link to your blog, someone reads your tweet, they click on your link, they go back to your blog, they read your blog, they love it. They say, oh, this is great. They spend a little bit more time on your website. So they go all across your website, they maybe visit like 8 pages, or maybe they visit 3 pages, they spend about a half an hour on there. Next thing you know, they sign up for your email because they got to this page, they got to your product page, and like, you know what, I really want to get more information on this because they're gonna give me free tips and tricks on this particular service or area. And so they sign up for the email, you send them emails. They get emails for, let's say, about 6 months. You know, it's giving them a lot of value, they love it. Next thing you know, they get an invite to a webinar about a product, it's a product demo. They're like, you know what, I'm actually interested in attending this demo because I'm now thinking about purchasing this product. So then they attend the webinar, they watch the demo, they love it, they already trust you, they already know your brand because they've been involved with it for about 6 months. And then next thing you know, they sign up to contact a salesperson. That salesperson then calls them up, and you do what you do and you close the deal, and then there you go, you have a new customer. Yes, ma'am.
Did you say in the beginning you announced the inception of your blog as a tweet to get people in?
You could do that.
And did I hear you say you also put a link, you tweet the link to your blog?
Yeah, so what I said was you write a blog post, and then you tweet it out with a link going back to your blog. So that's the thing, is like I said, everything comes back to content. If you're on social media, you don't have content, you don't have something to talk about, you shouldn't be on social media. And just plain and simple. You need something to talk about, and on top of it, what I always recommend is that, yes, you can go out there and find third-party articles, and I do recommend you use that, especially when you're first starting off. So, you know, if you're reading a news journal and a blog that you really find a lot of valuable information from, share those articles that you read every day or every week, and share them with your audience. That helps to build up your brand. But I do recommend is you create powerful original content. Okay? Powerful original content, because without that content, without your own content, then you can't really get what you want out of it. So I talked about small businesses not being educated in these different fields. That's a huge, huge area that small business owners make mistakes. The other biggest one is not having a call to action on their website. So part of that is that when they go onto your blog and they read, a call to action is like having on your sidebar, sign up for my email address, or sign up for emails, or download this white paper. We talked about marketing automation. Download this white paper. They opt in, they give you an email address. Once they're into your system, they're in there for life. Well, until they unsubscribe, at least. And then once you have that, then you can nurture them through this process. But without having them take a call to action, without having them sign up, you're losing that opportunity. That's the biggest thing. I hear people about doing ads, okay? I talked to a restaurant owner, this gentleman, he's like, oh, I did AdWords, did nothing for me. He's like, it didn't increase sales, didn't increase traffic to my my store, to my restaurant. And I asked him, I was like, well, what were you doing? And so he told me kind of what he was doing, and he was offering a little bit of incentive. I think it was like 10%. I said, well, where were you taking people to? Well, I was just taking them to my homepage. That's another huge mistake that people make. If you're doing online advertisements, anyone do online advertisements? No? All right, so I'm just gonna, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but if we go back to this sales funnel, if you want to get people who are essentially ready to buy, do online advertisements. They're not really expensive. AdWords is a great platform. It actually can put you on multiple different sites. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can set your own budget. But if you don't have traffic, you're trying to get up and running, you have a little bit of money to spend, you have a product or service to sell, start with advertisements. It will help in conjunction with SEO to build up your rankings on your website. But when you do these online advertisements, you have to be very precise, but on top of it, what's most important is where you take people after they click on your ad, okay? When that gentleman told me that he sent people to his homepage, that was a big no-no, because the biggest thing there is if your ad says, you know what, get 10% off your next visit to our restaurant, and you click and you go to a homepage of a restaurant, where's my 10%? Then they don't do anything. Then you just paid money for someone to click through to go to your website, and then of course they're not going to stay there. Some might, but the point of all this is that when you take someone from an ad to a landing page, make sure that landing page is also exactly what that person's looking for. So if it says, yes.
I just want to make sure that I get that clear. If you say, you know, click for 10%, it should be something stating the download or copy this for 10%, and then it goes into a hyperlink for the restaurant.
Yeah, so what I would actually do, yes, you're basically correct on that. Well, this is what I would do. I would create a specific landing page for that ad that looks similar to your website, but is really just has a title, says sign up for 10% off. They sign up, they put in their information, maybe it's email address, their name, they put that into a contact form, they click it, they get a coupon, 10%, and then they can go to the website. You want to capture the information, because let's say they get that coupon but they never come into your restaurant, then you can at least then nurture that through a process. So you can get that, you can send them emails, they can still get updates, and so on and so forth. So I think we're almost out of time here. So I want to make sure I answered most of these questions, and if I haven't, we talked about email marketing. All right, how to find target clients. 1, you can use advertisements. 2, you can optimize your website. SEO, using specific keywords that people are searching for your service or product that they're interested in. You want to optimize your site. Optimizing your site starts in the back end. It starts with each page has a title to it, so when you search for it, there's a title that pops up. Let me show you real quickly. So you have a title, you have a description, and then you have keywords. Each page should have one unique keyword that's associated with your page on your website. And this might be a little over the top for some people, and if you have questions about that, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, so let's say, let's do insurance. We put in insurance. So here we go. Ads, and more ads. Then we go down here, and then we go, oh, what just happened? So we see Progressive, okay? Progressive car insurance quotes, right there. What word is in there that comes up bold? Insurance. That is the title right there. Progressive car insurance, that is the title of this page. Now if we click on this page, and this one is organic. So if we click on it, it'll take us to probably their home page, okay? That's their title, all right? And hold on, let me go back to it. So they have insurance in that title. They also, there's a body of a description that's about, I think it's like a little under 100 characters or so that you can put into the description. That also, you want to put in your keyword. Then you want to make sure the content on each one of those pages has the keyword in there, sprinkled in it. It doesn't have to be redundant. So talked about that. That SEO is one way, and I'm just speeding through this because of our time. Someone have a question?
I hear you say don't use hashtags. Can you talk about that? Why not use hashtags?
Yeah, hold on one second. Did you have
I
any?
just wanted to make sure, you said that moss.com is one to go to help with finding keywords to help you, right?
Yes.
MOZ?
MOZ.com.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so what did I say? Don't use hashtags? Okay, hashtags are good if you have a conversation to be a part of. If there's a larger conversation, if you want to start your own conversation, start your own hashtag, that's great, but don't just throw in hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag this, hashtag that. That is just going to annoy the crap out of people. It really is. There's no purpose to it. It just defeats and is counterproductive. So yes. All right. So how to find target clients? Another way you can find target clients is using social media. Facebook, you can search for people. I don't really like using Facebook so much for this purpose. Twitter's great. Twitter, you can put in keywords. You can find people who are talking about this. Maybe they have questions. You can answer questions for them. You can interact with them. That's great. LinkedIn is a phenomenal place for this. Okay, this is probably the one sole focus of where you should be spending time if you're looking for target audience. If you have a service, or if you're a B2B company, spend time on LinkedIn. There's groups. There's millions and millions of individuals on there. So you can spend a lot of time finding those people in there, and because you have connections, they might be able to actually introduce you to these people. So that's another way of finding target clients. So ads, SEO, social media, and then just like word of mouth. But word of mouth is now digital as well. So people will be talking about you, and this again, you can use different channels. Driving traffic. Again, it comes down to SEO, ads, social media, content. The greatest thing about content that I continue to talk about, once you throw it up there, it pays for itself. You can throw it up there, and you know what? I've seen that blog post that I post 3 months ago actually is now generating the most traffic to the website. Because you put it up there and it lives there forever. And then that starts to build up traction. Actually, most times, unless it goes viral, your blog post will take a few months to actually really get some traction. So driving traffic, content refresh, or fresh content. Think of questions, constantly be listening to your customers, being creative. This is the biggest thing, all right? One, if you don't have a creative professional, or if you don't have a creative bone in your body, find someone who can help you out with this. This could be friends, it could be a professional that you hire. But the other thing too is that this is why I say don't start off with too many channels, because if you're spending too much time in like 8 different places, then you're gonna be just running yourself real thin, and then all those creative juices that you had flowing in the beginning get sucked right out of you. So content refresh is not, I don't have like a specific answer for that, but there's a lot of different ways you can come up with content, read what other people are writing, put your own spin on it. Think of, what's great is events, current events that are happening. Things, Taste of Chicago is coming up, things along those lines. Spring, different changes in seasons, that's great. Branding is very important, very, very important. Once you come up with a name should be really simple. It should be concise. It should have a URL associated with it. So if you're thinking of a name, make sure besides coming up with a name, you should also see if the URL or the website address is available. If it's not available, then you should probably think of another name. Nowadays you need that website. So you need a URL, you need a website address that's associated with it. Branding. Also, if you have to, spend some time or spend some money actually and time in making sure that brand looks good. It doesn't have to be Chase. It doesn't have to look like McDonald's, but it shouldn't look like your 2-year-old daughter drew your logo. So make sure it looks good. It's professional. If you have to, I do recommend you spend a little bit more money, because then it really projects. Your brand is how people see you. A lot of times they see that before they actually see you, or they try your products or your services. So how do you want to be represented in that form? It's not only from a design aspect, but it's also from a wording, a message standpoint. The biggest thing that people have a big mistake is they always focus their brand on themselves. They said, this is what we do. I'm the best, blah, 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 blah. That's great. How are you going to help me out? How are you going to help that customer out? What kind of value are you bringing to it? What makes you that person that person should turn to? Why should I, as the customer, come to you versus somebody else? That's how you should be thinking when you create a brand. wondering about starting a site, I said, $5,000 is usually a good way. You could probably get away with a good site for less. There's a lot of opportunities. You can find freelancers. There's freelancers out there that do it. There's websites that allow you to hook up with these freelancers. Again, just be careful, okay? What you pay for is what you get. Just want to put that out there. Keep coming back. As long as you're providing value, keeping fresh content. And content, again, doesn't have to be written. It can be video. If you're comfortable with talking, record yourself. Anyone heard of a gentleman by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk? Okay. Man grew his liquor business, his family liquor business in New Jersey from $3 million to $40 million by actually starting a wine library TV show on YouTube. So he had a camera. Every week he would talk about wine. He had his own little flair about it and grew his business, blew it up. Now he writes books about social media. He talks about social media. He has a consulting business on social media, and it's been phenomenal. The biggest thing he talks about that is he did that back in 2006. At the time, he was still paying for TV ads, for print ads. He was spending millions and millions of dollars. And so although they were making millions of dollars, the profit margin was really low. So as soon as he switched to digital media, he started using the video on YouTube, which essentially was a much, much lower cost. He got better results with spending a lot less money. So that profit margin just exploded. So that's how you build a business. So that's content, keep it fresh. Use partners too. Like if you have people if you're buying produce from another company, use them to talk about something. If you have, let's say, a retirement specialist and you're a health insurance person, use that person to talk about content. If they're not competing with you, but they complement what you do, use these people to your advantage. You can provide content to them, and they can provide content to you. And then you can do joint stuff together. Yes, ma'am.
On 17 on your blog.
Yes.
What is linked to authorship?
So Google has a thing called Google Plus. Anyone heard of that? Yeah. Okay. So Google Plus is Google's social media arm. They couldn't buy Facebook, so they created their own. And it was actually their second attempt. In Google Plus, there's authorship. And authorship basically means that, like, if you search in, let's say, I don't know, so if you search for something, articles come up in the search part. Let me go to, when blogs show up, let's see if this will produce any links. All right, this was a bad example, but what happens is that, let me see something else. How to use Twitter. Okay, so let's see. Oh, of course, nothing pops up here. Right, without going into too much, blogs, what happens is that you have to associate, so Google Plus, you have profiles. You need to set up your profile. They also, in the About section, they ask you what websites are you associated with. So you can link your Facebook, all that stuff, but what you want to do is you want to put in your blog URL. If you associate your blog URL with your Google Plus profile, every time you post the blog on your blog, and then Google picks it up, your name will pop up, and it will show your name, it'll show your Google Plus profile, it'll show how many views you've had, how many people follow you, and the more you do that, the better it actually helps for SEO purposes. So that's Google authorship. It's very important because Google obviously is the king, the ruler of search, everything search. So keeping people coming back, use your resources, if you have partners, use that, increase sales. Again, be selfless, provide value, have a really good product, have a really good service. Make sure you're expanding out, you're reaching as much people as you possibly can, being really active, working really hard, doing a really good job. all of that will essentially, and then you have all these systems set up, and you have a process, and you have all these different channels that work together. That will, and I promise you, it might not happen overnight, but I promise you, will increase sales. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Can I ask you a question about those images?
Yes.
Is that something they paid for, or how did they get the image next to them?
So this is actually, Google has an algorithm they pick up. These are news stations. Yeah, so they'll pick up some of these. I don't know how exactly they get the images in there, quite honestly.
I don't know about anyone else, but when I'm looking for a service, I'm attracted to the picture.
Yeah.
I want to see before I click.
So that's a really good point. What you can do too is that another way from an SEO standpoint is that if you have pictures on your website, you can actually optimize those by putting a title, a description in there as well. And there's ways of doing that. If you do that and you do it the right way, that also could be picked up in images. Have you ever searched for something and then you see some content, then you see like a list of images, you see some videos, all those images and those videos are all optimized. Okay? So that's how it's picked up. All right, so we talked about that, increased sales, building websites. Another thing with the website, just want to go back to that real quick, is that create a map. Okay, so how are people going to search from you? Is it going to start with the home page? What are you going to have on the navigation bar? What's going to be underneath the navigation bar? Again, it has to be associated with your goal, what you're trying to accomplish with the website, and then build it around that. Have calls to action in different areas, how people are going to be interacting. So that's a great way of how to build websites. Do's and don'ts with social media. Start conversations, be engaging, provide content. That's the do's. But don't spam people. Don't spam people. Don't be overly aggressive. Don't self-promote too much. You should self-promote, but again, you need to ask, or you need to give, and give some more, and then you can ask. Once you feel like you gave, yes.
Just a real quick question.
Sure.
One of my main concerns is how to get people to like the Facebook page or follow on Twitter. What is the best method?
Okay. Tell them why they want to like you on there. Both of those. Like Twitter. The great thing about Twitter is that you can actually just start a conversation with people, talk about what your brand is, and then people will start to follow you. The more active you are on Twitter, and the more value you bring to it, and the more you sound like you know what you're talking about, people will start following you. That's just natural.
Is one more important than the other, Twitter or Facebook?
It just depends. Facebook's becoming tricky now. So if you're doing it from a business standpoint, it's pay to play. Now you have to pay to be able to be seen more. Even if you have people who like your page, they don't see your page as much as they used to. Now they do, they'll come back to your brand, so it just depends on what's your business.
A restaurant supply company.
Restaurant supply company, okay. So Facebook is not a bad place. Twitter's a good place too. What I would start doing too is Instagram, Pinterest. Images are great. Instagram blew up. My wife calls Instagram the literate version of Twitter. If people can't read, they go to Instagram. So it's the truth. It really is. But pictures are the biggest thing for people. Pictures and videos. I mean, right now, it's what people love because one, they don't have time. The biggest thing with everyone right now is I don't have time. I have to do this. I have to do that. And on top of it, that's how all these social media sites are built now. Like pictures pop out more than content does. If you actually test it, do this. Post something on your social media. You can ask a question or just make a comment, whatever you want to do. Post it on there. Then do the same thing or something similar and put a picture associated with it. And I guarantee you'll see different results. Guaranteed. The biggest thing too with all that is that if you look at it, what are people doing nowadays? When they're sitting in line at the grocery store, where are they looking? Are they looking at the magazines and the gum in the aisle? They're looking at the phones. Exactly. So that's why social media is so important, but also having things on social media that pops up. Now with Facebook, just to kind of go back with that, although I disagree, I don't like what they've done with the pay-to-play. They've done it in a very classy way. It's what I would call a product placement kind of version. So if you pay for it, you're still putting in quality content. It's still something that will help people out, but you're just paying to be seen a little bit more than often. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, test it, Test it out, see what type of results. Spend a little bit of money, put it out there. If it works, great. If it doesn't, move on to something else. But spend a little time, be a little strategic about it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, most places are going to be pay to play nowadays because everyone's trying to monetize. I mean, they need to make money. Yes, sir.
Is there a website that can monitor all these social media programs like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter? Somewhere where you as a company can go there and sign up for it, and they'll give you all the conversations that are being.
So there are some options. Yeah, there's some options. They won't give you everything that you're possibly looking for, but there's a website called Hootsuite, HOOTSUITE, that will allow you to create specific streams. You could look for keywords. You could look for hashtags in Twitter, and they will just pull up that information. So you can segment things out and you can make it a little bit easier. Sprout Social is another good one. I like Sprout Social. We use Hootsuite, but I like Sprout Social because one, it's a little bit more expensive, but they give you a lot deeper reporting. So you can actually see like what your growth has been, where people are coming from, certain things along those lines. And they're a local company too. They're actually based out of Chicago. So they've been around for quite a while. They've blown up. They do really well. So I like that one. All right, let me get back to the board real quick. Do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts in starting a business. Starting a business and then marketing a business is the same thing. As long as you have a good product, you have a good service, you're ethical, you tell the truth, you're transparent. That's the biggest thing. If you're transparent and you're hardworking and you really are trying to help people solve a problem, then that will help your business. You will grow a very solid business. Obviously, that's not just the secret sauce. You need to know how to finance a business. That's a very difficult part for a company. But I do recommend that you actually go out there, you reach out to professionals, you learn as much as you possibly can, and don't expect not to make mistakes, because you will make mistakes. It's just a matter of how you overcome those mistakes, which actually will be the biggest determining factor of where you go in the business world. Keep positive reviews. Again, if you're providing a really, really good service and you're really good to your customers, you're going to get positive reviews. Sometimes there are competitors that come out there and they spam your reviews. There's not much you can do about it. But as long as you continue to provide really, really good service or a really, really good product, they're going to be happy about it. So, anything on the slides that you want me to touch on before we leave? No? Okay. You have the slides. One thing I do want to say is, first of all, thank you all for joining me and listening to me rant and rave about marketing. 1 second. And then also, if you put your email address up there, I wrote a lot of this stuff out. I'll provide kind of a written format of all this, a guide essentially, for the presentation today. So I'll make sure I email it to you guys out. Might be a couple weeks. I do have a newborn baby and another daughter, so sleep is not really my friend right now. Thank you.
I just wanted to.
So again, thank you everybody. My contact information.